Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third race in the VRG Virtual Racing League. This evening's race coming at you from New Jersey Motorsports Park, the Airfield Classic, on the Thunderbolt course configuration. We will be running this evening without chicanes in place to better match that track which the VRG runs on when we attend in the regular season in the real world. We're going to spend some time this evening learning a few new tricks in the broadcasting game here. That's going to include perhaps the occasional instant replay. We're also going to try and get a few interviews in with our drivers this evening. We hope you enjoy the show. We have an hour of practice from 8 p.m. until 9 p.m., followed by a 30-minute quali session, and then a 30-minute race. Thank you again for joining us this evening, and we'll be back with you here in just a little bit. seem to be experiencing some issues with our camera control this evening, trying to get that fixed up for you, and we can follow our drivers around the field a bit more accurately. But in the meantime, enjoy watching practice, and I'll be back with you once I get this squared away. And we're back. Seem to have fixed the issue with the cameras, so now we can watch the drivers that we want to see this evening. This is Ian Wisman with the VRG Virtual Racing League, and we're coming at you tonight from New Jersey Motorsports Park at Thunderbolt, minus the chicanes. We'd like to thank you all for joining us this evening out there in YouTube and Facebook land. Now that I've got myself squared away here, a bit about this track this evening from the iRacing standpoint. Thunderbolt, or New Jersey Motorsports Park, is what's called a tech track. That means the iRacing folks have gone out and scanned the track and done their laser reconnaissance, but they haven't really rendered in anything surrounding it. So as you'll notice, there's not really any trees. There's what looks to be a very foreboding fog off in the distance, and I don't even know that there's a timing and scoring tower. But the track still works. Our drivers can go out and have a grand old time, and initial reports from them as they were doing their reconnaissance laps earlier this week was that this track was a little something special in these GT3 cars. This is the third race in the VRG Virtual Racing League Series, the Airfield Classic, so named as New Jersey Motorsports Park in Millville, New Jersey, built on the site of an old Air Force base. Well, Formula One and Air Force, very similar. Both fast and loud. Following around now with Ralph Padgington. It looks like he may have changed up his colors for this evening, typically running his Castrol Liqui-Moly livery. The booth here should probably make sure that we have the overlays in for the paint. We'll check that here in just a short while. Reload on that there. Looks like Ralph may be running his custom paint colors. Gonna have to double check on the trading paints app here in just a little bit. Now we got a lot of new drivers with us this evening. Great to see that the series is growing. Well, riding with Ralph, looks like he's got now a Hot Wheels livery to his car. Let's jump down the track a little bit, see who else is out with us. Blake Chesbro out with us this evening. First time out. I understand he has very limited time in the sim, but so far it looks to be pretty tidy. Blake tells me that his father is joining us remotely, getting the opportunity to watch him race, which is great that we can bring this to him. Father and mother, I believe, are spectating, so we'll stop back in with Blake a little bit later this evening, see how it's going. Everybody's favorite mini racer, Mac McCormick, out here this evening in something quite a bit different than his usual Austin Mini Cooper S. We'll see how Mac's doing here. I expect he's going to get a quick beam back to the pits, or perhaps he's looking left for a safe free entry back on the track. I've been told through the grapevine here that Josh Shoemaker is joining us for his first event with the VRG Virtual Racing League, and there's a bit of a watching party out at his shop. Happy to have Josh with us this evening. Glad to hear that he's got some fans. Looks like Josh is probably searching for some sponsorship there to put onto that car. So maybe next race out, we can put a few stickers on there. Jumping down here to Niall McCabe. He's out here this evening in an Audi, which is a change from his typical McLaren. Obviously, he's still getting a feel for this. The car looks to be understeering just a bit. Not running the traditional green livery that we know Niall McCabe and his 909 so well. Again, perhaps another privateer looking for a bit of sponsorship money. We'll run up to the top of the grid here and see what Ian Ditson's up to. Putting in some quick laps here, a minute 14. We expect that Ian and Spencer are probably going to have a close race this evening. Obviously waiting for the appearance of Darren Treacle, who has been dominating lately in the virtual racing. Darren Treacle running with us, the BMW CCA National Capital Chapter out of DC. Also doing a bit of AER endurance racing, just up at Watkins Glen not too long ago, having a pretty tidy race with an Audi. So we'll look for Ian and Darren and Spencer to tangle here and see if they can three-peat the podium. Jumping down here to Robert Lang with us this evening. He's been a competitor in all 3 events thus far. Seems to be enjoying his time with us. Over to John Wood, out this evening in his BMW Z4 GT3. Nice green livery to that to match his BMW 2002 TII that he campaigns with the VRG during the regular real-world race season. Happy to have John with us again this evening. I gather he's taken like a duck to water with this virtual racing, taking part as well in the BMW CCA and AER events. John notably did get some honest-to-goodness track time this year, a bit earlier this year, and I believe it was March time frame. The DIPA Sport Endurance Racing Team, a endurance entity of B&W Autosport, took their 89 BMW 325i, ran the VIR South course in a 12-hour event. First race ever out in that car, and they won all 12 hours. Your commentator would typically be in attendance, but he wasn't. Team principal Scott Buriak was in attendance, and to say that it was a joyous accomplishment to put in 12 hours is an understatement. Clark Orstrom back to the paddock he beams, on board with Matthew Barber. We'll jump down here to Mike Buttrick. I understand he's got a pro riding shotgun on the radio headsets, giving him tips as to how to improve his track time out here. Michael, pretty new to the virtual racing. As you can see, it's a bit different from the real world stuff. See if he can keep it off the Armco there and get it back on track. Good job, Mike. Safe stop there. Waiting for a safe re-entry. That was a close call. Oh, I see Darren Treacle has joined us, watching him go along here and out in the Audi this evening. Let's jump back to Darren real quick. It's a lovely Marlboro shell livery on that car, an homage to the McLaren F1 of yesteryear, I'm sure. Great to see that tobacco sponsorship back on the car. It's a shame to have seen it gone away. But did have the benefit of watching F1 when the tobacco sponsorship started to go on its way out, and got to credit Marlboro and particularly Mild 7 and Benson and Hedges for coming up with some rather clever alternative sponsorships. You still knew what brand it was, but it didn't actually say the name. Buzz and Hornets was a favorite of mine from the Benson and Hedges crew. So we'll be mixing things up a little bit here with the VRG Virtual Racing League. We're running tonight at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Next week, we'll be at Lime Rock Park for the Connecticut Grand Prix. And then on the 22nd, we're going to do a partnership with the Washington, D.C. region SCCA and partner with them at their Road Atlanta event, which should be a fun one. Your commentator here, Ian, is going to join the booth for the broadcast team for that WDCR event with Sim TV. That should be a good time. After the Road Atlanta event on May 28th, we've got a non-points race at Watkins Glen, just a fun run. Followed on June 2nd, again at Watkins Glen International for the Champions Grand Prix. And then a little treat that we're going to hold out to the end of the season. Not sure if I can share that with you. Going to have to check with series chair Jim Karamanis, make sure that's public knowledge. Now, as this is a tech track, some of our overlay functionality may not work as expected. Notably, I may not be able to display a live track map of the competitors on course. I'll double check and see if that's an issue on my side or if that's actually because of a tech track. But still should be able to enjoy this race. Let's zoom out a bit here and see what we can see from way up above. The Goodyear Blimp is in town for us this evening here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'd like to thank them for flying by. They'll be offering their services throughout the entire event this evening. As you can see, rather sparsely populated out there in New Jersey. I'll hold all comments with regards to the state as it is. Quite a nice event when we've attended in previous years. Great people. And of note, Millville, as I was mentioning earlier, on the site of an old Air Force runway, there is a nearby museum filled with all kinds of extremely cool Air Force World War II and Vietnam era memorabilia. So if you're ever in the area when we can go visit, definitely stop in. Oh, sorry, Scott. Sometimes when I jump around on the camera, people are sometimes in an unfortunate way. I don't know if that's the luck of the camera or my luck. We'll come back to you a little bit later there. Let's check in, see how Josh Shoemaker's doing out here this evening. Looks to be finding some pace. Currently sitting in 16th here in practice. I'm sure he'll knock some time off here as he gets a bit more comfortable. Understand he's running in a new rig here. Good to see him out putting this to use. I'm sure he's going to have a heck of a time going virtual racing. Quite the thing to do these days. And as you can see, again, the camera has its luck. I jump to Stefan, and it gets a little close. I had asked the teams to share their rigs, photos of their rigs. Stefan, exceedingly quick with us, drives on an office chair with wheels on it, believe it or not. Let's see what we can see here up front. I see Stefan spent a little time in the paint shop, put a little VRG livery on there, and I see there's also some Vintage Motorsport magazine sponsorship on that car. Looks very sharp. Let's take a look from the rear. Little bit of rear end damage there, but otherwise, seems there might be a bit of front end damage there in Stefan's car as well. Those familiar with the Porsches who would open for the Formula One races in years past, and perhaps still current, are familiar with the phrase the Porsche nose. A bit of a bump draft, if you will, common in those parts. We will be jumping into our Discord server a little later this evening, perhaps get some in-car interviews with some of our drivers tonight, and if not, we'll definitely catch up with them after the race. Maybe try a couple of our newer competitors to see how they found it this evening. Jumping on board here with Josh Van Kirk, a friend of mine from out on the left coast. He's visiting us from Washington State. Served for his country in the Navy on a submarine. Now he's on land working in a shipyard building boats. Josh joined us for the first time last week at the Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point Motorsports Park, and he joins us again this evening at New Jersey. Uncertain if he's had much time on track here prior, so he may still be feeling this one out, but we thank Josh for joining us again. I understand after our race finishes, he's got a Lucky Dog Racing virtual racing series that he partakes in with his Lucky Dog group out on the West Coast, similar to our Champ car here on the East. Thank Josh for coming out and running with us this evening. About 15 minutes left, just under 15 minutes left in this practice session here at the VRG Virtual Racing League Airfield Classic. Then we'll have a 30-minute qualifying session followed by a 30-minute race session. The weather this evening looks beautiful. Despite the storm clouds on the horizon there, 70 degrees, 0% humidity. I would say it is a bit cloudy and not a lot of wind. Tonight's track, 2.15 miles in length. Should be a good challenge for our racers this evening. Falling around with Christian Bergen this evening. Looks like he's got that fancy Warsteiner livery on his BMW Z4 GT3. That would match the E30 M3, I do believe it is, that he's recently acquired, but unfortunately has not had much opportunity to get out on the racetrack. But from the photos I saw by VRG lensman Bill Stoller, the car looks absolutely fantastic. So let's hope Christian gets a couple of good laps in this evening, has a good race. He's been with us since the beginning as well. Good to see him out. Top marks for the livery. We have Mike Buttrick here. Looks like our last week race winner Darren Treacle getting ready to make a pass here. Of note, obviously everybody's in a simulation here. Mirrors are a little hard to come by. Those driving with just a single monitor actually have to press a key on the keyboard or a button on their steering wheel to look left or right, which I gather is extremely disorienting for the drivers. Uncertain if anybody's out there with a virtual reality headset on this evening. I understand that makes it a whole lot easier because you can simply look left and look right. Looks like Mike has updated livery on his Mercedes this evening, adding the, yeah, there are those shark teeth or lizard teeth. I recognize that from the A10 Warthog, I believe, has a similar paint on its nose. Perhaps the fans in the YouTube chat room can clue me in at some point down the road here. Jump in with VRG President Mike Lawton out here again in his Mercedes-Benz in a shockingly bright yellow. You see Michael being courteous and allowing a pass there, and then probably getting on the go pedal a little too hard. The modulation in the pedals is something that one has to acclimate themselves to for sure. It's a big difference between the mechanical linkage and springs that we're familiar with in our own cars and that of these sim racers. We have Spencer Patterson here, who's just behind Ian Ditson out here in this practice session. Two very quick drivers. We'll see how they do this evening. Spencer with his Thrustmaster sponsorship there. Like he also has Trading Paints on the side there. Trading Paints is an application, allows you to do your own custom liveries, load them into the sim, and anybody else running the application can see your custom paint jobs. I know for sure Ralph Padgington's running a custom paint. Perhaps Spencer here is as well, and I suspect Ian Ditson. Your commentator here has a mind to recreate some of the well-known liveries of yesteryear. But it requires quite a bit of knowledge of Photoshop and not a lot of time to sit down and figure that one out, so maybe that's a 2021 season ad. A little squirrely there for me, and looked like he was trying to avoid coming together with the car ahead of him. Pull up the timing tower here and see how everybody's doing. Spencer Patterson out on top right now. Darren Treacle just behind. Ian Ditson in third place. Stefan Vappa in fourth. Robert Hines there in fifth. And then VRG Vice President and VRG Virtual Racing League Chair Jim Karamanis just behind in sixth. Notably absent from this evening's field, at least thus far, is Ralph Solomon, who should be out there in a Ferrari, but I don't see him at the moment. Perhaps he's a little late joining the session. Hopefully he does join us. I understand he's had a rather large crowd watching. Hopefully he gets out on track and we can give him some footage for the highlight reel. Kurt Uzbey out this evening. He just joined us a little earlier today. He's the lone Ferrari competitor out with us this evening, going for a very understated black. The prancing horses there. Sharp-looking car. I'd like to thank Kurt for joining us. I hope he enjoys his race and continues to come out and run with the VRG Virtual Racing League. And that's what happens when I change the camera. Sorry about that, Jim. Looked like you'd gotten a little agricultural ahead of that anyway, so I'm sure you'll get back out there. Looks like we're getting ready to wind down here in this practice session. Just under 5 minutes left, and then we'll jump over to a 30-minute quality session. Jumping back to Mac McCormick here. Mac, also new to sim racing, had his rig for a few days now, and I understand has been putting in as many practice laps as would allow. And Mac and Lee, who I am sure you recognize and remember from the track, recently competed in a World Series of birding, which definitely need to get more details about that one, because that sounds like a good time and a great way to get out in some nature and appreciate what's out there. Wrapping up this practice session here in just a moment. I think we'll probably jump into the Discord channel, see who's hanging out in the lobby as everybody gets ready to go out here for quali. See if we can get a few thoughts from our drivers. That would be a checker. Let's put this on the pit lane, see where everybody's going. Everybody's making their way out of the pits for our 30-minute qualifying session here. We'll get some timing and scoring up here so we can see just how everybody's doing as they roll out. Jump in here and see what's going on in the lobby. Evening, everybody. This is Ian coming at you from the commentating booth. Everybody have a good qualifying session out there. If anybody wants to jump in for an interview while you're driving, certainly let me know and I'll pull you in. Well, sorry, Josh. That's what happens when I move the camera to you. I think everybody's going to have to work their way up to quick laps here in this 30-minute qualifying session. About 3 minutes a lap, the laps thus far. Jump in the car here with Josh, watch him on his out lap, see how this goes. Got a little squirrely there. Looks like the rear end came around on him. Alright, let's jump over to Ian Ditson and see how he's doing. Take a bit of a ride with Ian. Couple of nice in-car rides there. Looks like a beautiful day in New Jersey. About 8 minutes passed in this qualifying session, 30 minutes long in total. Most of the field looks to be putting together some pretty decent laps. Looks like Darren Treacle is expected out on top with a minute 13. Just behind him, we've got Ian Ditson. Spencer Patterson just behind Ian. Jump down here to Blake. We'll watch him take a lap around this course, maybe jump in the driver's seat with him. Over Blake's right shoulder. See what this track looks like from the nose of the car. As you can see, the level of detail that goes into these simulations is pretty amazing. This being a tech track, obviously the surrounding scenery is not as well filled in as the others. The cracks in the pavement, the rubber that's being put down. Last week at the Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point, they even had the patch of concrete in turn 1 that everybody relied on for their apex indicator. Pretty cool stuff. Let's jump out to Mike Buttrick, see how he's doing. Oh, looks like he's mowing the lawn just a little bit there. Working off some of the entry fee for this evening's race. Not quite sure what John Wood got a hold of there. Not sure if that was curb or a gopher. Perhaps a intake trumpet from a set of Webers. Jump on board here with Josh Van Kirk. Lucky Dog Racing. Jump up there to Christian Versions. Sorry about that, Chris John. Got the curse of the commentary camera. Let's see how Niall McCabe's doing. This is a track which Niall should know pretty well. Part of the infamous Jersey Boys racing team, who takes all things Jersey very seriously. All fine, upstanding gentlemen. Quite the characters, those Jersey Boys. Best of luck to you this evening, Niall. On board here with Spencer Patterson, handling quite a bit of traffic very deftly. Nicely done, Spencer. We had a question from the YouTube channel as to, is the in-car view what the drivers see in their sim setups? And yes, this is effectively exactly what the drivers see on their displays as they're competing. A number of them run a single monitor, but you can run 3 wide, so you can get the forward, left, and right view. And if you have a VR headset, it's very akin to just sitting in the car and moving your head and looking around. So if you were to get a sim rig and join us racing, this is what your view would look like. Oh, sorry, Josh. Change cameras and you spun. About halfway through this 30-minute qualifying session. We'll let the camera bounce around here and pick out these choice scenic views from New Jersey Motorsports Park, Millville, New Jersey. I think we're going to go to our Discord channel here. Hey Jim, this is Ian in the booth. Can you hear me?
Hey Ian, loud and clear.
Excellent. How's it going for you this evening?
Well, it's pretty crowded out there.
It certainly looks to be from up here, and I'll tell you, my cameraman's curse has struck numerous times. I caught you in a particularly spectacular dust-up a little while back. But looks good. Everybody seems to be having some fun.
Yeah, we're having good fun. I had some connectivity issues earlier, which really caused some super chaos. But I think we've got 25 entries today on a really small, tight, twisty track. Pretty exciting out there.
It definitely is. Been describing for the audience the difference between the tech track, which New Jersey Motorsports Park is, and then the more traditional tracks that we run at. But the level of detail in the track itself looks pretty honest to goodness to the real thing.
Yeah, the track itself feels a lot like the real thing. It's pretty weird driving without the buildings.
I can imagine.
So I'm actually going to attempt to talk to you a little bit while I drive.
Well, let's see. Really going to test your skill set here this evening, Jim. Again, we're going to ride along here with Jim. Let me pull you up here on the cameras so we can take a look while you're driving, get your driver's seat view.
Yeah, Yeah, so I'm on cold tires right now. This is an L lap, so you really have to tiptoe. There's absolutely no grip when the tires are cold. It takes about 1 to 2 laps for them to really settle in.
Yeah, we've caught a few people. Oh, I can see there. Little bit slippery.
Well, that partly had to do with me trying to push the talk button to talk to you and make the turn. I'm not skilled enough.
Well, if you ever watch the Formula One in the in-car, I think that's a skill you're going to have to pick up if you ever want to go pro.
I don't think anybody's looking for someone my age to go pro, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Well, you can do it if you put your mind to it, Jim.
Right now, I'd just be happy to stay on this track.
Let's see, we'll jump back in here with you and follow you around from the outside. There we go. So, thus far, the Virtual Racing League seems to be a success. Any new exciting changes with the league that you'd like to tell the fans about?
Well, we're going to be making a special announcement later this week. I don't want to share too much other than that it's going to be pretty exciting for the drivers and for VRG in general. But look for something coming out in the next couple days.
Excellent. Well, I know that the fans watching at home really appreciate this. I know we have a few new drivers with us this evening. It's a great opportunity for them to get some racing in. Blake Chesbro, I think, has family watching us from afar, which is excellent. So I think kudos to you, Jim, for pulling this together so we can all get together and have a race and watch each other have some fun.
Thanks, Ian. I appreciate that. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I'm going to jump back in here and see if I can't get a hot lap.
Yep. Good luck out there tonight, Jim. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ian.
That was Jim Karamanis, the VRG Virtual Racing League chair, vice president of the VRG in the real world. He pulled this all together so we could all go do a bit of racing while we're not able to actually go to the track, and it's been a wild success. So we thank him for all of his efforts in putting this together. Following along now with Ian Ditson. Looks like he's currently qualified P2. We'll see if he can find some time. Pip Darren Treacle, who looks to be coming out of the pits at this time. Darren out this evening in an Audi, a bit different from his typical BMW Z4. Back here with Paul Bova, out in a BMW Z4, a bit different from the Turner that you're probably used to seeing Paul drive. Certainly like to thank Paul for joining us, coming out and having a race with us. Seems to be finding his way around nicely. Rick Londano here running what looks to be a McLaren-inspired livery in his Mercedes-Benz this evening. Robert Hines, currently qualified in 5th place, sponsored this evening by Nationwide Insurance. Robert has been getting increasingly quicker as he's been racing with us these last 3 events. Maybe tonight's the night that he steps up onto the podium. See, he's chasing down John Wood there just ahead. I was going to attempt some instant replays this evening, but it's a one-man crew here in the broadcast booth, and I kind of got a lot of balls in the air to juggle. Let's see if we can't find something exciting to take a look at. We'll see how this all goes. And because we just talked to him, let's see what happened when Jim Karamanis went off track. There we go. Rear end broke loose. And that, folks, is our first instant replay. Let's jump back to the live and see what's going on. Up on 5 minutes left in our qualifying session here, followed by a 30-minute race, New Jersey Motorsports Park for the Airfield Classic, Millville, New Jersey. Again, if you're ever in the area, it's a great track. The nearby Millville Military Museum, great stop. Lots of fun and exciting things to check out there. That was Mac McCormick there in the background practicing his drifting skills. Like Mike Buttrick having a bit of a hard time there getting back on track. He's probably just sitting and waiting for the race to start, saving his best for then, because that's when it matters. Following around with Stefan Vappa now, sponsored here by Vappa Vintage, also with the VRG and Vintage Motorsport Magazine livery. Also borrowing his color scheme from his Quantum, which you may have seen Stefan throw around Shenley Park for the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix. Two-time winner. Hoping we get a shot to run that race again this year. That would be one heck of a track to put into this sim. We'll have to get on the iRacing people to see if they can scan Shenley Park. That's a whole lot of potholes and curbs and trees and telephone poles to have to take into consideration, but that could be a fun time in the virtual world. Just under 2 minutes left here in our qualifying session and a 30-minute race. Looks like everybody's headed back to the pit. Perhaps for a quick splash. One more fast lap before the qualifying session ends. Jump in with Ian Ditson here as this winds down, see if he can pip Darren for the pole position. But as it stands, looks like Darren Treacle's gonna sit on pole again. If I'm not mistaken, the last 2 races Darren has taken flag to flag. We'll see if he can three-peat this evening. Up. Looks like Ian had a bit of an off there. Expect he'll take it back to the pit and wait for the race to start. That's a checker here on our qualifying session. We're going to regroup here shortly. Come back out for a 30-minute race for the VRG Virtual Racing League Airfield Classic at Thunderbolt, New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'll see if we can pull up the grid here in just a little bit. Be rolling off here for a 30-minute race session here. The Airfield Classic, New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'd like to thank you for joining us on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching us from. We'll do this every Tuesday night. Next week we're going to be heading out to Lime Rock for the Connecticut Grand Prix. A storied track that is at Lime Rock. We hope you'll join us. That's Tuesday night starting at 8 with practice. And here's our grid for this evening race. Qualifying, P1, Darren Treacle. Second place, Ian Ditson. Third, Spencer Patterson. Those are the fast 3 to keep your eyes on this evening. Followed by Stefan Vappa in 4th, Robert Hines in 5th. We're getting ready to roll out here on the reconnaissance lap, or a pace lap. 6th place, we've got Josh Van Kirk joining us from Lucky Dog Racing in the Northwest. Robert Lang in 7th. Jim Karamanis in 8th. John Wood out of New England in 9th. Mike Buttrick qualifying in 10th place this evening. Quite an improvement from Mike there. Ken Fitzgerald in 11th. Blake Chesbro in 12th. Ralph Padgington 13th. Matthew Barber in 14th. Christian Berzens 15th. VRG President Mike Lawton in 16th. Kurt Ousbay 17th. Mac McCormick 18th. Josh Shoemaker qualifying here in 19th. Niall McCabe in 20th. Scott Nettleship 21st. Rick Lindano 22nd. Paul Bova in 23rd. And Ralph Solomon back there in last place. He may have just joined us. We'll have to make sure we get him on camera once we roll off here. It's going to be a 30-minute race session here for the VRG Virtual Racing League Airfield Classic at New Jersey Motorsports Park, Thunderbolt. I'd like to thank you for joining us. My name is Ian Wisman. I'm a member of the VRG. I handle most things IT. I do the broadcasts and various and sundry other things. Looking forward to a good race this evening. Expect we'll roll off here shortly. Field together nicely here behind the pace car this evening. Opportunity to show off everybody's liveries as we bounce down through the field. Bit of an accordion there on the pace lap. We're going to roll off here for the green flag here in just a moment. Lights will come up. Jump in with our leader, qualified P1 Darren Treacle, outside Ian Ditson. And we've got a green flag. Go, go, go. Let's hope for a clean first lap of our leaders here. Darren and Ian clean through one. As this race starts off, looks like everybody else behind mostly clean through. Darren Treacle clear in the lead, Ian Ditson close behind, Spencer Patterson back in third here. Let's see if Ian can maintain pace here with Darren, make a race of it. On board with Ian Ditson on the nose cam. Very smooth by Ian. Gaining a bit of ground on Darren. He's going to have to work for this one though. Darren looking very smooth there. See who's got the horsepower down this long straight. Looks like they're pretty evenly matched. A little wide there for Ian. Let's see if he can reel Darren back in. Back with Robert Hines chasing Stefan Vappa. Battle for 4th place here. Looks like it's pretty interesting back here for Robert Lang and Jim Karamanis. Following along with Blake Jesbro, got a bit of clear air ahead of him. Sorry, Josh, cut to you there. Get back on track, bit of an off. P3 right now with Spencer Patterson. Maintaining pace with Ian Ditson and race leader Darren Treacle. This should prove to be a pretty good race once we get deep into it. Cut to Josh Van Kirk up to 6th place, but falling behind after a spin. Looks like he's pulling it together and he's going to get back into it. Let's jump down to Chris John, see how he's doing out there in that BMW. A little bit of damage in the nose there. Must have had some extracurricular there in the opening laps, perhaps on the pace lap when the accordion bunched. Car still looks nice. Bit of an overcorrection there. Kind of an idea of the virtual speeds these cars are carrying. You can pull up a dashboard here, you can see what gear they're in and what speeds they're traveling at. Stefan coming up quick behind Spencer Patterson here, should have a race here the next lap or so, I would expect. Keep an eye on that one. Come back later. Jump down here to John Wood, see what he's up to. Mike Buttrick coming up from behind. Looks like John's a little extracurricular there, allowed him to gain some ground. follow this one, see how it goes. Pretty close. Mike's all over the back of John Wood, filling his mirrors up. Now with John Wood. We'll jump to his gearbox and see where Mike Buttrick is at. John able to get on it just a little bit harder out of that turn. See Josh Van Kirk was able to overtake Mike there as a result. Check in with our leaders up front, see how this is going. Seems as if Ian Ditson has managed to overtake Darren Treacle. Not sure what happened there. This is a big move for young Ian. He's been all over Darren's back porch for the last 2 races. Maybe this is the one that Ian steps on top of the podium. Jump back down here to Stefan and Darren, see how this fight's going. Bit of room between them. Lots of change in places a little further down the pack though. Let's see what this action looks like down here. Josh and Blake having quite the tussle here. Jump into the in-car here with Josh and see how it looks from his point of view. A little bit wide on the crest of that hill there. Josh lost a bit of distance there on Blake. Pretty impressive Blake's performance tonight if he's as new as he says he is. Might be a bit of a natural to this. On board now with Josh Shoemaker, currently running an 18. I believe that's Niall McCabe in the 909 ahead of him. Definitely to the inside there, executing the pass. Field's pretty well spread out at this point, coming up on 15 minutes into our 30-minute race this evening at the VRG Virtual Racing League Airfield Classic, the Jersey Motorsports Park Thunderbolt. Looks like we're pretty dicey up at the top of the pack here, but the rest of the field has spread out, which was probably to be expected. This is a pretty crowded race this evening. Not a whole lot of real estate out there, and obviously people still getting used to the virtual racing as opposed to the real world racing. So let's jump back up to the top here. It looks like Darren's making a run and Ian Ditson. We're real close here. Less than half a second separating these two. This should prove for an interesting dice for the remainder of this race. Jump in car here with Darren, watch over his shoulder. Nice tow from Ian there down the straight. Got a bit of traffic ahead. We'll see how Ian handles this, see if Darren can take advantage. Up over the crest. Hard on it. Ian kicking up some marbles there. Like the leaders are working through lapping the field. I believe that's Josh Van Kirk that our leaders are coming up on here. They're able to gain some ground there. This might be his opportunity to make a move. Distance now between Ian and Darren, just over a half a second. About an 8-second gap back to third place Stefan Vappa, running by his lonesome at the moment. I expect Stefan's going to want to try to get up close to the leaders and try and take a win for himself here. We'll see if he can make some ground in the remaining time on this race. About 17 minutes transpired to 30. I'm being joined here in the broadcast booth by my furry co-commentators, Genevieve and Kitty. They say hello to any other four-legged fur kids out in the audience watching this evening. We're going to jump back down here to Robert Lang. Seems he's having a pretty good dice. Back in the middle of the pack here. Coming up here on Blake Chesbro. Josh Van Kirk just ahead. See if Robert can gain some ground here and make this stick. Looks like Ian Ditson might have had an off there as we were just passing him. He's falling back quickly. No longer running in second. Darren Treacle has taken the lead. Robert Lang here all over Blake's rear. Blake is maintaining, keeping that distance. Well, Mary Roberts going to go over the inside, but Blake shuts the door on him. Pretty good stuff here, some nice close virtual racing. Looks like Robert was able to execute that pass. Blake backed out here. We have Stefan Vappa currently in second place. The Vapor Vintage VRG Vintage Motorsport sponsored Mercedes-Benz. Jumping back to the back of the pack. Mac McCormick, subject again to the cameraman's curse. Sorry about that, Mac. Looked like you were headed that way before I cut to you anyways. Following along with Matthew Barber. A few seconds here behind Josh Shoemaker. See if he can make some time to catch up to him. Al McCabe in the Audi 909, being passed there by Ralph Badgington in the Hot Wheels Mercedes-Benz. Looks like we had a bit of a blip there from Niall. Expect the iRacing servers are putting in some work. It's a pretty popular time of the evening on the East Coast to do some virtual racing. Working our way up here. Mike Buttrick, nothing but clean air ahead of him. Jump up to John Wood. About a second and a half behind Blake Chesbrough here. Pretty good dice here in the middle of the field between a few drivers here. That BMW does look nice in that British Racing green. Though BMW probably has a different name for green than British Racing green. He's reeling him in. Under half a second. Oh, little bit of a bump there. A little bit of a bump. Looks like John might have maybe locked him up and got into the back of Blake there, but they're continuing on. I'm sure they'll want to talk that one over in the pub after the race. For those thinking of joining us, please do. We'll put up links to the VRG Virtual Racing League news group at the end of the event this evening. Come join us, exchange emails, shoot the breeze with the drivers, learn about how all this works, what kind of equipment you need. Don't worry if it's something you've never done before. There's a lot of rookies out in the field and people still learning. We do have a chat server as well, so that after the races we can all get together, open a cold one, turn on the webcams, and do a bit of bench racing after the fact. So a good time to be had by all. It's not quite standing around the paddock, but for right now it'll do. Looks like we have Spencer Patterson here chasing down John Wood, making his way through some traffic. John allowing the leaders by here. Whoop, a little bit of a tussle there in the back. Looks like maybe lost sight as we were apexing that turn there. Let's pull up this tower and see where we stand. Spencer Patterson currently running in P4. Jump up here to Ian Ditson, see if he's able to climb his way back to the top. Just under a half second behind Stefan Vappa. Lots of good driving instruction coming out of this as a result. Certainly directly applicable to the virtual racing, but also applicable in the real world so far as understanding the handling characteristics and behaviors of the cars and how to compensate for them. Stefan has done an admirable job of explaining to the newcomers to sim racing just how all this works, and that you don't necessarily need all the fancy gear to go quick. Just like the real world, laps are the best medicine. We're going to check in here with our race leaders, see how Darren Treacle is doing up front. Looks like he's got nothing but clean air ahead of him. Car sure does sound and look good. Currently got about almost 10 seconds on second place Stefan Vappa there, so we're going to jump back to that battle and see how it's going. As expected, Stefan and Ian having a pretty tight race here. Ian's close. I think he's just got to find a hole here. We'll see if Stefan gives one up. That's probably unlikely. I expect he's going to hang on to that second place position he's got, make an attempt to reel in Darren. They're at least maintaining the gap that Darren's got, so if they can get clear of this traffic, maybe they can make some headway on our race leader. Well, he ain't going for the inside there, just not enough this time. Maybe the next time round. A little bit of lap traffic getting in the way there, Ian. So might have lost just a bit of time there. Guys for a bit and jump back. We got 26 minutes have transpired so far in our 30-minute race, so we're approaching the finish line. It is in the distance. Jumping back here to Blake Chesbrough, putting in one heck of a race here. Currently sitting P7. Let's see how everybody's doing thus far. Blake picking up 5 places. That's pretty incredible. And then we've got a hard charger here in the back, Paul Bova, working his way up 10 spots. Kurt Uzbey as well out in that nice black Ferrari. Oh, sorry, Kurt. Cameraman's curse. Apologize for that. Jump back up here to Josh Van Kirk, see how this is going for him. Got quite a bit away in front of him to the next car in 4th place with Robert Hines there. Still pretty well spread out. Ian still maintaining that a half-second gap between he and Stefan. See if he can reel him in. Under 3 minutes left in this race. Looks like Ian got a bit wide there. He's going to regret that. I'm sure he's upset with himself right now because he was all over Stefan there. Jump back up here with our leader. Real good shot for Darren to take this flag to flag 3 races in a row. Ten seconds back to second place Stefan Vappa. I can't see him making that up in the remaining time here unless something tragic happens here to Darren. But he's playing it safe, taking a wide berth around this lap traffic. He recognizes he's got the time and the space. He's not going to risk it. Jump back down here at the end of the pack while we approach the end of this race here. Tidy pass there by Ralph Patterson on lap traffic, Mac McCormick. Following along with Josh Shoemaker, picking up a spot here, currently running P18. Just under a minute left in the race. I understand Jim Karamanis was punted a little bit earlier, so he's currently not out there. We'll check in here with Mike Buttrick, see how he's doing. P9 going to finish in top 10 here. I think that's an improvement over last week's effort, even with a bit of nose damage there. We're about 30 seconds left, and it looks like Darren Treacle is going to take this one flag to flag again. Pretty well spread out here at the top of the field, though. Lots of space. I don't think this was an easy one for Darren, given all the traffic and lack of room out there in some cases coming up on this traffic. So we'll see if we can pull him into the Discord server later today and talk to him. But next time around should be the checker for Darren Treacle in the Marlboro Shell Audi. Been a clean race for Darren. And as he comes down, start finish, that would be the checker. So congratulations to Darren Treacle for taking his third race in a row, flag to flag, with the VRG Virtual Racing League Airfield Classic. Stefan coming through for his checker flag. Young Ian Ditson picking his up, flashing the headlights. P3, despite a little trouble there at the end. Good race for me, and good to see him coming through and having a good race. Josh Van Kirk finishing out P5 there. Good showing from him. Following along here with Blake Chesbrough as he comes around to collect his first checkered flag. Finishing this race in P7, picking up 5 spots on the way. Excellent showing. Understand in the real world, Blake runs I believe a Lola Formula Ford. So this virtual tin top's probably just a bit different. We'll be coming down here, start finish, to pick up that checkered flag. Congratulations there to Blake on an excellent drive. John Wood. Quite a bit of damage there on the BMW this evening for John. But looks like he's going to be able to pull this one home and top 10 finish. So cheers to John for being an Ironman and sticking this one out. Excellent drive. So our racers come along to finish this Airfield Classic, New Jersey Motorsports Park Thunderbolt. We'll pull up our standings here once everybody crosses the finish line. See how this wound up working out in the end. I'd like to congratulate all of our competitors this evening, particularly those who showed up for the first time and were wearing the rookie stripes. Good to have you out there. I think we've got most everybody has checked in through the checkered flag. Let's see if we can pull up our results. There we go. Here's your finishers for this evening's race, the Airfield Classic, New Jersey Motorsports Park at Thunderbolt. Darren Treacle taking another one flag to flag. That's 3 in a row for Darren. Second place, big finish from Stefan Vappa. Third place, Ian Ditson. Not the finish he would have liked, but unfortunately sometimes that happens. Robert Hines in fourth, and then Josh Van Kirk running that out in our top 5 finish from the West Coast. Happy to have him visiting with us. Hope to see him again at the next race. Of course, we'd love for you to join us at our next event. That'll be next week at Lime Rock Park for the Connecticut Grand Prix, starting at 8 p.m. Tuesday night, the 19th. Storied track there up at Lime Rock should be another exciting one, particularly with these GT3 cars. We're going to jump over to the Discord server here in just a little bit and see who else we can pull in to talk to us this evening. I see we've already got a couple of members sitting in the pub. Let me ping the room and see who may want to join us in the chat room. So we'll wait to hear back from our competitors once they get out of their balaclavas and driver's gear, because of course everybody races in full safety gear in the sim racing world. We'll have to get the point standings updated for the next race so we can see where everybody's standing at the moment. I think we're going to have second place finisher Stefan Vappa here join us in just a moment. Let's see if I can pull him into the chat room. Let's see, who else do we have? Our driver's still getting out of their cars, so I apologize for the dead air here. We're coordinating a number of different things here at the VRG Virtual Racing League. Let's see. Everybody's still making their way back from their race cars, so nobody to join us yet in the chat room. I'll run through the calendar while I wait for everybody to get back to the paddock. So next week we've got the Connecticut Grand Prix at Lime Rock on the 19th. On the 26th, we're going to be at Watkins Glen. And then as Virtual Racing League Chair Jim Karamanis mentioned, there's a bit of a surprise coming for the competitors. So that should be announced here in short order. Let's see, we have Ian Ditson, our third place finisher. Let's pull him into the chat room, see how this goes. Hey,
How
Ian.
we doing?
Good, Ian. This is other Ian. How you doing this evening?
Frustrated.
We were watching that race. You were pretty close all over Darren there for a while, and then it looks like you got a bit squirrely and lost it. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I was in front of him for a little bit, came up on some lap traffic that I thought they were giving me space on the outside of the track, and then kind of got bumped over a little bit, ran out of space, car spun around. Nothing I could do to save it, and then dropped position, 2 positions actually, down to third, and that's where we're sitting at the end of the race. So.
Well, sometimes that's racing. I mean, you had the lead there for quite some time. It was looking pretty good for you, but you know, sometimes those things happen.
Very, very difficult track. It's just frustrating. But, you know, it is what it is. What can you do now, right?
Yep, for sure. Hey, I'm going to pull in Stefan Vappa, who finished just ahead of you in second place. Give me just a moment here.
You should be able to pull Darren in, too. He looks like he's in the lobby.
All right. Hey, Stefan, you hear me? This is Ian in the broadcast booth. Oh, we lost Stefan. Maybe we'll bring him back in. Let's see if we can grab Darren. Well, hopefully he's not screaming and celebrating and spraying champagne everywhere. Hey, Darren, this is Ian in the broadcast booth. Can you hear me?
I can, Ian. Can you hear me?
I can. Happy to have you here. Hey, it's you have both Ians in the room, Ian Wisbin and Ian Ditson. So you've got your third place finisher there, who was giving you quite the run. Why don't you tell us about that race there towards the end you were having?
Yeah, it was a good race. At the beginning, I got a little bit of a jump, and then I got a little squirrely, I think, going through 2, coming up on a lapper, and then Ian went by, and then Spencer went by, and then I went to pass Spencer in turn 1. We had a little contact. He spun, and then I think Ian got held up by a lapper, and he spun, so then I went back by, and then I just kind of set sail after that. I mean, I think Ian and Stefan kind of got held up with the lappers, and it was an interesting race. There was a lot of carnage.
Difficult track.
Yeah, it looked that way from the the commentator booth up here. If I'm going to see if I can pull Stefan in. We had him just a moment ago. Let's see if we can get the podium in the room at the same time. Let's see. Hey, Stefan, this is Ian in the broadcast booth. Can you hear me? Oh,
I'm going to
no.
take that as a no.
That's a no. Quite all right. I understand. Perhaps a little frustrated there with the second place finish. So Ian and Darren had a heck of a race there. We were watching you there for the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
How'd you find this New Jersey Motorsports Park at Thunderbolt? Challenging?
To pass that, it's impossible, I'd say, unless you're getting a point by. But I think we would have been right on top of each other had the incidents not happened. It would have been I don't think there would have been a pass. I think it would have been simple, just close, gap closing, opening up, and that would have been your race.
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, Lapper kind of slowed me down, which got them closer. Then I spun, so they blew right by, and then Lapper's helped me catch back up. So
If we thought this was bad, Lime Rock is gonna be.
Lime Rock's gonna be fun.
It'll be interesting.
I don't know how many guys had actually been to New Jersey. I've actually raced there.
It's a fast track.
Yeah, several times in real life. I do like the track. It is a challenge. We do have a lot of new to iRacers, new iRacing guys. So they're still trying to find their way, but it's a challenge.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be an interesting race for us tonight because, to your point, having never run the track in the real world, it's already kind of awkward enough getting into the virtual racing. So to then have to find your way on a track with very, very, very few reference points, given that it's a tech track, I thought kudos to everybody for going out there and giving it their best for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the other thing. There weren't any reference points since it's a tech track. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for what it was and the frustration of not being able to pass on the track, I think that's really the best it could have gone.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Just a funny little side note. Normally I run the BMW, and I
was wondering about that. What the heck?
Well, I had full
intentions on me.
Yeah, I had full intentions of running the BMW. And I don't know what happened, but we're trying to get the Discord to work and setting up some other stuff. And I got a new rig and I got a new setup going that I'm trying to sort out still. But I hit the button to join by accident before I changed to the BMW. And I was like, oh no, not the Audi of all cars. And
it's picked up the pace a lot from what I understand.
Yeah, well, I was actually very pleasantly surprised. I don't drive the Audi typically because I've tried, and I find it a little bit of a challenge, but it actually worked extremely well at New Jersey. And I think I ran my fastest lap was a second faster than the BMW and the Mercedes, as a matter of fact.
What was the fastest time during the race? Do you know?
Mine was a 13.8.
Yeah, I didn't even check mine. I was frustrated and just kind of got out of there when I could.
Yeah, I should keep track of that next time so we can actually compare that. I have all the timing and scoring here, but I'm still learning where I got to go to find it. And I got a comment.
One job.
Yeah, I know. I have eight jobs when I'm sitting here doing this. I got to applaud you on the livery you're running tonight, Darren. It's really nice to see those old Marlboro and Shell sponsorships out there. So +1 on the paint.
Hey, I appreciate that. I was going through. I went through trading paints real quick, and it's the old Ayrton Senna livery. So I was like, that's it. That's what because my thought process was if I'm gonna be slow, then I might as well look good being slow.
Right. There you go. I like that. Well,
yeah.
I appreciate you both joining us this evening, stepping into the interview booth and talking with us for a little bit. Looking forward to seeing what you do next week at Lime Rock. Is this 3 in a row for you, Darren?
It is 3 in a row. Yes.
All right. Well, that's all we'll say about that for next week. We'll see how that goes. But congratulations both to you on an exciting race this evening. Look good, and we look forward to having you again next week. So thanks for joining the VRG and the Virtual Racing League.
Hey man, thanks for having us. This is totally cool, by the way. This Discord thing. Now that I figured it out,
it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, amazing. This technology, and I mean, considering everybody's brand new to hell, most people are running 60-year-old cars, and now they're buying sim rigs and getting into Discord channels. We're breaking that mold.
Could this change what racing is?
Well, I mean, we're certainly gonna have something to do in the wintertime, that's for sure. We're all gonna be right in here racing again. So
I think so. Oh, yeah. I think some people have got the bug, which is very cool.
Definitely.
It's not hard to get.
That's right.
Well, I hope
Yeah.
to step out of the booth and join you on track here sometime in the near future. But thanks again, Darren and Ian, for joining us.
Thanks, Ian.
Congratulations on your win, Darren, and unfortunate for your P3 there, Ian. But hey, you made it interesting,
Yeah.
and that's all that counts. So
That's right.
Thanks for
Ian.
having us.
Thanks, Ian. See you guys.
definitely
See ya.
have a good evening, gentlemen.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right, and that's going to wrap it up for us here at the VRG Virtual Racing League. Tonight's running of the Airfield Classic at New Jersey Motorsports Park at Thunderbolt. We thank you very much for joining us. Again, next Tuesday, 8 p.m., we're going to do it again at Lime Rock Park for the Connecticut Grand Prix. We thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you here real soon. We'll get you set up here on how to get in touch with us. Join the VRG at vrgonline.org. Link to the live stream is displayed here on the stream, so you can follow that and catch up to us next time or rewatch the races that we've already had. Come join us at our Groups IO group and join the conversation with the Virtual Racing League. So we'll see you next week at Lime Rock Park. Again, this is Ian Wisbon with the VRG in the Virtual Racing League. Thanks for joining this evening, and we'll see you real soon.